This is a moment in our history as a nation and a moment in the history of the human species that is completely without any precedent. Whenever you hear phrases like that, the natural tendency is to hold them at arm's length and to question whether or not it's not an exaggeration. We have a history in our country of some policy goals being advocated with the use of exaggeration. And those who instinctively resist any policy initiative that seems as if it might have a larger role for government, they're going to fight against that. And any coalition that tries to look after the interests of all the members of their coalition, if a big, wealthy part of that coalition is made up of carbon-based industries, vulnerable to the truth that Upton Sinclair wrote 100 years ago when he said it's difficult to get a man to understand something if his salary depends upon him not understanding it. It is understandable that we have a full-blown political struggle to communicate the truth about our situation. I've tried for 30 years with increasing focus, with increasing effort, and many of you have as well. Many of you were involved long before I was, and I see some in the audience who I think of immediately. But this is a task for all of us. And those of you who have not been engaged in trying to communicate effectively in your communities, to those who respect you and who understand that you have worked hard to attain the knowledge and wisdom that you have, this is no time to sit back. This is an historic struggle. We, as a species, must make a decision. How absurd that sounds. It sounds absurd because we've never made a decision as a species, and it seems implausible to think that we could. But we've now reached a stage where continuing on our present course would threaten the entirety of human civilization. Many of the most distinguished members of your respective professions, scientific fields, have been saying now for a few years that in their estimation, we could well have around a decade within which to make major changes in our direction, lest we lose the opportunity to retrieve a climate balance that is favorable for human life and human civilization. That frozen carbon in the Arctic that I showed is one example. There are others. There's an old African proverb that says, if you want to go quickly, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. We have to go far quickly. And the only way that's going to happen is if those of you who are in a position to exercise influence and communicate your understanding of what this is all about, make a decision to get involved. We need you to be actively involved. I began with a reference building on what Jim said last evening about the role of science in the making of policy. When our nation was founded in a world where most formal communication was in the printed word, there was easy accessibility to not only elites, but to all who could read and write, to the latest knowledge about seeds and agronomy and the sciences of the day. The great and famous two cultures that emerged and the divide between them has created some distance between the world of politics that I used to inhabit and the world of science that you inhabit. But now that the survival of our civilization is at risk, and now that the solution to this crisis depends upon the rapid spread of understanding from the world of science into the world of policy and politics, scientists can no longer, in good conscience, this is my view, I believe strongly that scientists can no longer, in good conscience, accept this division between the work you do and the civilization in which you live. I'm asking you for help. I believe in my heart that we do have the capacity to make this generation one of those generations that changes the course of humankind. The stakes have never been higher. We have the knowledge, we have the emerging technology, we have new leadership, we have cabinet members and science advisors and NOAA heads and policymakers in all of the important positions who are of you, who are your colleagues, and who have taken the time to go and be a part of public service, largely because, in many cases, largely because of this challenge. Keep your connections to them. Become a part of this struggle. We need you. Let me just close by saying that it has been one of the greatest privileges of my life to have the opportunity to work with and to learn from the scientists, many of whom are in this room. I'm extremely grateful for, I mentioned your patience, for your scholarship, for your dedication. And I wish that my skills as a communicator and as somebody who's been involved in politics were greater than they are. If I could find a way, I would communicate the sense of urgency that I feel so passionately, straight from my heart to yours. If I could, I would motivate you to leave this city after this meeting and start getting involved in politics. Keep your day job, but start getting involved in this historic debate. We need you. Thank you very much.